What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade, basketball analysis coming to y'all with that quick video. We're gonna talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo. I was watching the game yesterday, and I just wondered: is Giannis the MVP? Is he literally? People voted for him on multiple sites. Multiple analysts say Giannis was either the second, third, or the best player in the NBA. And I didn't agree with it last year, even though he was MVP. I didn't agree with it this year, even though he was Defensive Player of the Year and MVP, number one record, number one defense. And now they find themselves down 0-3. I personally tell everybody that asks me about it, that will be an embarrassment if you lose four straight games to the Miami Heat. It's not because the Miami Heat suck. It's not because the Miami Heat is overrated. It's because we expect a lot out of Giannis in year after year throughout the last 5 years, to be honest. He didn't deliver, especially when it mattered most, especially when the team needed him the most. He went in Game 7 against the Celtics not that long ago. They lost. Middleton, you can make an argument he played better than Giannis in that series, but they didn't come through with it. Last year, they lose four straight games to Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors. And this year, they might not even get to the Eastern Conference Finals, even though we looked at them as a championship team. We looked at them as one of the championship favorites, and a lot of people picked them to go to the NBA Finals out of the East. And they might not even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And they have the reigning MVP, most likely two-time MVP, and they struggling to get out of the second round. And it would take a miracle for them to be able to beat the Heat four straight games with the way that they're playing and the way that Jimmy Butler and his confidence is through the roof right now is playing. But if anything, I still do like Giannis. I still like what he's about. I still like that he plays hard. I like the fact that he do have a lot of effort and energy on both sides of the court. But at the same time, like I kept trying to tell people throughout the year, the more praise, the more awards, the more dominance you do, it comes with expectations. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to dominate and you have to be able to win. And Giannis, time and time again, continues to come up short. And now you understand why a lot of players leave after their second contract, because it becomes all about winning titles. You want to prove that you're one of the best players in the world. You want to prove that you're an all-star. You want to prove that you're one of the best players when it comes to elite company. And Giannis has put himself within the top five. He has put himself in within the top two and two-way players. And now people feel like he's the best guy right now outside of Luka to build a franchise around. And Luka went out in the first round. He had a little bit of an excuse because Porzingis wasn't there. And Giannis really doesn't have one. I think Middleton, some people felt like he was an all NBA third team player. I voted for Chris Middleton as all NBA third team. And he played okay. He's not playing terrible. He's not the biggest reason why they're losing. It's a cumulative of all of them. Brook Lopez isn't hitting threes. He dropped off from last year, and it was fool's gold. His three-point shot hasn't been going. The other thing about it is Eric Bledsoe. The guy is a difference maker, especially on the defensive end, but he cannot lock in offensively like he should be able to with that strength and that size and that athleticism. He just doesn't have the fundamentals and the skills on the offensive end to really be a threat consistently throughout a 48-minute game or when he's just on the court. And that has become a problem. When they got Bledsoe, I felt like him and Giannis could play together. And they went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and they became the number one team in the NBA back-to-back years. So it has worked. But it really doesn't mean anything if you can't get it done in the playoffs. And that's where we continue to see the Bucks struggle at. They continue to have great regular season teams. They continue to dominate throughout the regular season, but when it comes down to I need a bucket, when it comes down to we need a run, when it comes down to we need to make decisions that can help this team get over the hump, they continue to fall. And that's something that you just can't fix with a coach. That's something you just can't fix with Giannis. They just don't have it. They just never had it. And they're going to continue to find that problem until they have it. And it's going to be interesting to see what John Horst does with this team because people thought it was a big thing letting go of Malcolm Brogdon. Some people feel like they played better without him. Some people say he would be a big difference maker this year if they had him. And I don't even know which one I believe because they had him last year and they lost 4 straight games to the Raptors with Brogdon healthy and playing the whole series, and it wasn't enough. So I don't really know if that would be enough to beat the Heat in a 7 game series the way they've been playing now. But it will give them another dynamic. It will give them another shooter, another driver, another creator. But we seen last year that might not be enough even then. So when I look at this Bucks team, I look at Giannis, and the only reason why I say that right now is if you're the player that everybody wants you to be, think you are, and you should feel that you are with the numbers and the dominance he has done the last 2 years. You're the leading All Star voter too. You look at that and you wonder, at the end of the day, what can I do to get my team 1 W? I know, well, what about the next 3 games? You got to win the first one. And then when you win the first one, then you worry about winning the second one. What can Giannis really do to take this team from 0-3 to 4-3? He's going to have to figure out what he's going to do offensively. And it sounds cliche, it sounds noticeable and obvious, but when I'm looking at this guy, sometimes Giannis look lost out there. Sometimes Giannis really don't even understand what he's trying to do when he's in transition, when he's coming up the court, when he's at the top of the key, and that's something that Giannis has done throughout the last 3 seasons. He looks lost out there on the offensive end against great teams. And the biggest problem is when you're in the playoffs, you're going against the best players, the best coaches, and you're going against a team that knows who they are and what they're trying to do. And the Bucks, time and time again, look lost. And it starts with Giannis because he always has the ball in his hands and he's always trying to find a way to impact the game on both ends of the court. And he had a little moment in game 3 where it looks like the Bucks will be able to ride Giannis to W. He goes to the bench and he just disappeared. Game 2, disappeared. Game 1, disappeared. And that just can't happen if you're the best player in the world that people think. That can't happen when you're a top 5 player trying to lead a team to a championship. This can't happen. You should want the ball. You should want to take over. You should want to will your team to win if you have to do that. Sometimes you just got to tell the coach, we can't do this. We have to try something else. You have to give me the ball. You have to rely on me. And he was doing that a little bit in game 3. Then he disappeared in the last 7 minutes. And that just can't happen if you want to win the title. You have to take it. These teams are all competing for a championship that is in the playoffs. The Bucks don't play or look like that this season. They just don't look like that in the seeding game. They don't look like that in the playoff games. And I said that when they was going against Orlando. I expect them to beat Orlando. But Orlando feel like they can play against them. They feel like they can beat them. And that shouldn't be happening when you have one of the best players in the world. Even though they did win 4 straight games against Orlando, that's one of the worst teams in the NBA when it comes to the playoffs. That's the worst team in the playoffs. You should be able to beat them with no Isaac and no Aaron Gordon and guys like that, but they struggled to consistently score. They struggled to hold Orlando, even though they didn't really have no scoring options all season. They struggled offensively. They was able to pick apart and find holes in the Bucks' defense and get decent offense enough to make it competitive. Now that they're going against better competition, the Bucks are exposed. They offense is clunky. They defense is spotty. And at the same time, nobody seems like they want to do anything outside of Giannis, and he's not even doing enough. So I don't really know what John Horst, like I said a couple minutes ago, what he's going to do with this team. Because if this is his last year and you feel like you're going to lose him, you can't really trade a player of Giannis' magnitude just because he's capable of helping you get to the championship. But also, he's going to have to change the way he thinks, the way he plays, and going to have to make some significant improvements. And one thing I don't like about Giannis, too, is he sucks at free throws. He's a guy that plays on the perimeter and gets inside, but if he doesn't finish or you get him to the free throw line, especially in the fourth quarters, he struggles to consistently make free throws. So not only do you have to worry about him getting walled off, If he gets through the wall and doesn't finish, you have to worry about him finishing at the free throw line, which he continuously struggled even in that Toronto series last year to do it. So they got a problem. And as either you're gonna have to figure out who else you need on this team, or you're gonna have to figure out a different way to approach this team when it comes to building it. Because you let Malcolm Brogdon go, you gave this team more depth. Now they're using their depth, and it's not really getting them anywhere because they're down 0-3. Then you got one of the best players in the league that just vanishes in the fourth quarters when they need them the most, and they need somebody to get them a basket, and they need something to come out of thin air sometimes, and you don't see Middleton doing it enough, and you don't see Giannis. And these are your all-stars. These are your all-NBA players, and they just can't figure out how to beat great teams when it mattered the most. They do it in the regular season. They do it throughout the season. But when it comes playoff time and they go against elite level competition, they falter. They just don't have an identity. They don't have anything, and it's just frustrating to watch. Even though I'm not a Bucks fan, it's still frustrating to watch just because you would think they'd be better. You would think that they would want it more. You would think that they would put in that extra gear to let people know that they're the best team, and instead they disappointed everybody. Now I didn't have the Bucks winning the title, but I said it's no excuse why Giannis cannot get out of the East. No Kawhi Leonard, no LeBron, no Kevin Durant. You got Jimmy Butler, you got Jason Tatum, you got Kyle Lowry and the Raptors. There's no way you cannot be in the NBA Finals in the Eastern Conference this year with Giannis Antetokounmpo on your team. But we're looking at a situation where it might become reality that that's not enough either. And if that's not enough to get you to the Eastern Conference this year, it's only going to get tougher as we see this year. They may not even get to the third round like they did last year. You got to figure out how you're going to build this roster and how you're going to really build a championship team around Giannis. The only bad part about it is the clock may be getting ready to be out. Because if Giannis really feel like he can't win, if he really feel like he's not good enough to get it done, or they don't hit that extra gear and get put out in the second round, the Bucks are going to look embarrassed. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow. And at the end of the day, we're going to doubt Giannis until he gets it done, which he hasn't been able to do. So we have a legitimate reason to doubt him. And you can doubt the whole Bucks team because they all are choking too in those fourth quarters, and they blowing leads like they did in game 3, and in Orlando was leading the whole game in game 1, and that shouldn't happen if you have the number 1 defense and possibly the number 1 player. That shouldn't happen. So we will see what happens, at the end of the day. I'm interested to see what they're going to do if they do get swept. I'm interested to see if they just lose in the second round and how they go about putting this team together. I don't really know exactly who they're going to get, what they need to get, what's going to be available, but they got a task that they really need to figure out now because Giannis will be able to leave to any team. And honestly and truthfully, it's a lot of teams that would love to have Giannis and they won't even flinch to sign him to the max level contract they can offer, which gives the Milwaukee Bucks more competition to try to win it this up and coming year if they can't win it this year. So we'll see what happens. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. I'm not doing all that. Saturday, hope you guys enjoyed. Sunday, be back with a new video. Comment, like, subscribe, and share. Quinn Wade, basketball analysis. I'm gone.